Import the third world, become the third world. I just read about this, and it is literally a new nightmare unlocked. The idea that you could send your sons or daughters, or you yourself could be at a music festival when a coordinated group of people not from town are going to walk around and be going after people with syringes. Hundreds of people were injured by this. All this does make me want to, close the borders even tighter. Europe is lost at this point. France is lost, and it's just an absolutely terrifying, shocking story that I will give you a good breakdown of here. Huge shout out to this video sponsor, Built for America. Hey folks, real quick but really important update. Right now, DC politicians are trying to end the energy tax credits that are actually bringing manufacturing back from China and putting Americans to work. These credits are fueling the American energy dominance, rebuilding our supply chains, and hitting China where it hurts. We're not talking theory. We're talking real jobs, real factories, real results right here in America. Repealing this would destroy millions of U.S. jobs, gut $1 trillion from our economy, and hand China the win. President Trump, don't let Congress pull the plug on America's comeback. Protect the tax credit. They are putting America first. Now, here is what happened over the weekend. Festival needle spiking. 12 people arrested after 145 people report being pricked by syringes across the International Music Festival. In fact, here are the real numbers. Now, by the way, we all know how Europe deals with hate facts, crimes that would perhaps put their beloved migrants, their invaders, in a bad light. At this music festival this weekend, what was meant to be a night of celebration turned into total mayhem. 371 arrests, 6 people got poked, okay, 14 seriously injured, 145 reported syringe attacks. That's just the number that were reported. 1,500 plus other injuries, 51 vehicles torched. Now, if you look at some of the videos here, you're going to notice a little pattern. Now, we don't, patterns are hateful. We don't want to notice those patterns. But when you look at a lot of these videos, this doesn't look very French to me. Does it? Is France like 75% migrants? I mean, look at it. This looks very, very enriching. Here we have more videos from it. Again, a large group of black men seemingly attacking a white individual there. Yep, that's what it looks like to me. Now, hey, you might say, Jeremy, you're cherry picking. Okay, show me the videos of mobs of white French locals who are doing it. I'm sure there are some participating in this, but these again, this is people, this is just a few videos that I've seen. Nobody's covering this. Why? Because it's all migrants. Of course it is. Of course it is. Invaders. I'm not going to stop saying migrants. I'm going to say invaders. 12 suspects have been detained after 145 people were pricked with syringes at an international music festival. Now, let me just say, I may not be remembering this correctly, but there is, I wonder if I could prove this. See, I told you all my videos would have more research. There is, in South Africa, I believe, there is like this thing where they think that they can cure their AIDS by taking blood out of their bodies and then like injecting it in someone else. They think it passes it on. They think they're living in the movie It Follows. 140, what was in those syringes? And when you have 145 people, this is a large-scale terror incident. There's no doubt about it. This is like far more terrifying than somebody like, explodiating themselves. What the heck was in those syringes? If you're pokey number 145, you got whatever everyone else has got before you, even if there's nothing in it. Why were there syringes even there? Now, this does appear to be a festival that's just taking place on the streets, probably little to no security. What if there's AIDS in there, or hepatitis, or anything? I mean, it could be anything. And you have 12 suspects arrested, meaning you probably had 50 or more people doing it. Wouldn't you think? 12 suspects detained after 145 people were pricked with syringes at an international music festival. Remember when this was a rumor at the... This was actually a rumor at the one concert where people got crushed. I'm afraid Astro World or something like that. Anyway, the Interior Minister confirmed at least 145 people being poked with needles after millions had taken to the streets to celebrate. Paris police report 13 arrests in the capital. Officials did not say whether these cases were so-called needle spiking with, it was all women, by the way. It was all women who got it. They wouldn't say officials did not say whether these were so-called needle spiking with GHB or Hypnol, which is what creeps use on dates, used to render the victims confused or unconscious or vulnerable to SA. Some victims were taken to hospital for toxicology tests, the ministry said. In Paris, investigations were opened into 3 people, including a 15-year-old and an 18-year-old, reportedly being receiving a stab. A 15-year-old. Somebody stabbed a 15-year-old. This is crazy. By the way, also, this said all 3 reported feeling unwell. Across France, 12 suspects have been arrested. Among them were 4 people in southwestern city of, I can't even pronounce that, suspected of targeting around 50 people. Apart from those suspects, more than 370 were detained during the festival on various charges, including 90 people in Paris. 14 participants in the festivities were seriously injured, including a 17-year-old hospitalized after being found sitting on the street with a stab wound. I mean, this is absolute. I mean, again, let's take a look. Yeah, looks really French here. A lot of dreadlocks. This guy looks like perhaps Middle Eastern of some sort. A lot of dreadlocks in France. I didn't know that those were popular. Okay. In one particular shocking video, a man dressed in a blue t-shirt strikes a kick at a woman's head before pulling another male to the ground. This is crazy. And of course, no one really wants to talk about who's committing these crimes. Now, were there France locals that did it? Sure. But this is what France talks about. France has a problem with racism, not migration. Or you look at this report here. Here. Check that. One of these here. Here. This is the Mission Permanente, the permanent mission of France to the United Nations in New York. I just want to read this back from in September of 2023. Mr. President, I thank the representatives of the Office of the High Commissioner for Refugees, an international organization for migration, for their statement. I would like to focus on 3 items. First, Europe is a land of both hosting and asylum. France, for its part, has always stood out for its policy welcoming forcibly displaced populations. France currently hosts 700,000 refugees. Now, remember, France is very small. It's about the size of a medium-sized state, maybe the size of Wisconsin, maybe even smaller. And they have 700,000 refugees. That was in 2023. It's probably double that now. These refugees include Ukrainians who have fled the war. More than 11 million people were forcibly displaced from that war, including 6.3 million refugees. More than 4 million of them are hosted in countries of the European Union, and I think it's important to recall that table. France contributes 93 million euros to the budget of the Office of High Commissar, blah, 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 blah. Secondly, we have a collective duty to protect migrants. Thirdly, and finally, we must address the root causes of population displacement. These are vile politicians that want to replace their own population with people that were not born there, that are incompatible with the West, but will vote the way they want. Even France, finally, even France, okay, this is 2 days ago. Illegal immigration, 4,000 law enforcement officers now deployed in France to deal with these migrants. Over 4,000 law enforcement officers will be mobilized for 2 days during a nationwide operations targeting illegal immigration in trains, buses, announced French Interior Minister Bruno Retailleau, who was at Paris's Gare, whatever. How come I can't see more? Oh, read more here. So which is it? By the way, this story from Reuters: after a student lost their life, France's new government heeds the far right's call to be tougher on immigration. Why is it the far right if you don't want your daughters to have horrible things happen to them? You know? Here's from the European Conservative: mass migration prompts spike in attacks against women and girls. Well, duh. 131,000 foreign national arrests took place in England and Wales in just 10 months in 2024. 16.1% of the total number of arrests. This is despite foreign nationals representing just 9% of the population. Whoa, let's not do per capita. We're not going to do per capita. That's racist. Foreign nationals are arrested at double the rate of British people. Foreign nationals accounted for over a quarter of the SAs. Foreign nationals are arrested at 3.5 times the rate of Brits for SA. There have been 2,775 foreign nationals accused of taking women against their will across 29 police forces in just 10 months. That's 3,000 cases of this. I mean, this is wild. So now they have to deal with these lunatics walking through the crowd and poking you with a needle. Like, I don't understand why these people aren't rising up and voting differently. I wonder if I could find. It is important to understand. Yeah, there's some sort of. I'll probably not find that article, but I think it was in South Africa. But this is frightening. It is nightmare fuel to think that you're just going to be sitting around, some dude's going to poke you with a syringe with God knows what in it. And 145 people that reported it, there's probably double the number of people that are like, ow, somebody poked me, and then they didn't report it to the police. Think about that. It could be 3, 4, or 5 times as much. Gotta lock down those borders, boys. France, Europe, you need a hard look at what's going on over there. And I feel bad for the people that are trapped. I hope you're informed by this video. If you were, please do leave a like on it. If you haven't yet, subscribe or follow down below, and we'll talk to you again real soon.